This is Keep the Faith Ministry News. I'm Hal Mayer. President Trump's nominee for the Supreme Court is seen as a relatively young conservative justice that would help sway the court to a more conservative bent and perhaps overturn Roe v. Wade on abortion and Obergefell v. Hodges upholding gay marriage. But now that evangelical supporters of Donald Trump are almost universally pleased with his choice for the Supreme Court in Neil Gorsuch, the first Protestant nominee to the Supreme Court in many years, what do they expect next from Mr. Trump? At the National Prayer Breakfast, Trump reiterated his promise to remove the Johnson Amendment to the IRS Code that prevents pastors from advocating for or against political candidates. This will have a serious effect on church-state relations and may eventually open the door for evangelicals to have more control over the state. Evangelicals expect Trump to continue to fulfill his promises to them, said Jerry Falwell, president of Liberty University. It's a happy group of people right now, he added. Falwell said he and other leaders who were involved in Trump's campaign, such as televangelist James Robison and Paula White, feel like they have had the best access to any president in recent memory. I think Trump is more one of us. He's not an elitist. He doesn't look down his nose at evangelicals and Christians and conservatives. I'm very shocked by how accessible he is to so many. He answers his cell phone any time of the day or night, Falwell said. Falwell also pointed out that hundreds of evangelicals are getting positions at lower levels of the administration. Under previous administrations, evangelicals would often go through a liaison to get their concerns heard, but not anymore. Falwell is pleased so far with his access to the Trump administration. He has regular phone and personal conversations with the president. Trump isn't listening to traditional religious leaders. Cardinal Donald Wuerl, Archbishop of Washington, said the Archdiocese currently doesn't have channels to communicate with the White House. Perhaps the Roman Catholic Church will have to work more closely with evangelical leaders to get their agenda heard. Trump is instead listening to megachurch pastors and Christian media influencers who will talk about Trump on their shows, blogs, and Twitter feeds. In addition, evangelicals have one of their own in the White House, Vice President Mike Pence, who has called himself an evangelical Catholic. Someone like James Dobson, founder of Focus on the Family, and now host of Family Talk, can call Pence on his cell phone. Trump's evangelical council stays in touch with him weekly. Ronnie Floyd, former president of the Southern Baptist Convention and pastor of a 20,000-member church, read a scripture passage at Trump's prayer service at the National Cathedral during Trump's inauguration weekend. Floyd serves on that council. He also is especially excited by the followers of Christ, in quotes, nominated for Trump's cabinet, including Tom Price for HHES, Scott Pruitt for the EPA, Betsy DeVos for Education Secretary, Rick Perry for Energy Department, Sonny Perdue, Agriculture Secretary, and Jeff Sessions, the Attorney General. The administration has been way over the top in giving them visibility and recognition that we can bring values, Floyd said. What values would those be? Many of these evangelicals believe that America must be run on their interpretation of biblical principles. Trump's Supreme Court pick was seen as a home run, according to Russell Moore, head of the Southern Baptist Convention's Religious Liberty and Ethics Commission. The Supreme Court was the #1 issue for many evangelical voters, he said. Moore expects Trump to work with Congress on more abortion legislation, including extending protections to people who don't want to provide abortions or contraception based on their conscience. Many evangelicals, Moore said, are divided over his executive order related to refugees. So far, he said, evangelicals are generally happy with Trump's administration, especially his reinstatement of a policy prohibiting funds for abortions overseas. Most people are just waiting to see what the first 100 days will look like, he said. People are wanting to assume the best and to pray for success. Evangelicals, former Protestants that is, are now taking a major role in the U.S. government. And while this may bode well in some key areas, it may also lead to more dangerous implications for God's people. Remember, these evangelicals do not like Sabbatarians who reprove them by their very existence. In the last conflict, the Sabbath will be the special point of controversy throughout all Christendom. Secular rulers and religious leaders will unite to enforce the observance of Sunday. And as milder measures fail, the most oppressive laws will be enacted. Romanism in the Old World and apostate Protestantism in the New will pursue a similar course toward those who honor the divine precepts. That's Spirit of Prophecy, Volume 4, page 444. This is Keep the Faith Ministry News. Thank you for watching.